Hello, and welcome to the Value-Based Payment Initiatives Trainings State Fiscal Year 24 Overview over the Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool, or HRST. My name is Leslie DeGroat, and I'm the Division's Clinical Coordinator, and with me is Sarah Eckert, Managing Consultant with Guidehouse. So the Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool, Service Provider Rater Person-Centered Training is optional HRST Value-Based Payment Initiative 1. Who does this involve? Current DMHDD contracted residential service provider organization with designated Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool residential rater staff. What is it? It's a one-time payment of $840 for each Missouri HRST residential rater that completes the person-centered thinking training requirements per the Missouri Inelectability System during the identified time frame. When is this time frame? It's quarterly reporting beginning state fiscal year 2024 for waiver residential service providers. Why? The training will support the HRST rater with identification and implementation of person-centered thinking strategies to enhance individualized person-centered health risk support planning, improve health outcomes, and support individual waiver participant health and welfare. How? Per HRST rater completion in the Missouri Inelectability System of the person-centered thinking training requirements and completion of corresponding REDCap form. Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool, or HRST TCM Provider Rater Person-Centered Thinking Training. Optional HRST Value-Based Payment Initiative 1, and this is pending CMS SPA approval. Who does this involve? Current DMHDD contracted TCM service provider organizations with designated Missouri HRST support coordinator rater staff. What is it? A one-time payment of $1,196 for each Missouri HRST support coordinator rater that completes the person-centered thinking training requirements per the Missouri Inelectability System during the identified time frame. When? Quarterly reporting beginning state fiscal year 2024 for TCM providers upon CMS SPA approval. Why? The training will support the HRST rater with identification and implementation of person-centered thinking strategies to enhance individualized person-centered health risk support planning, improve health outcomes, and support individual waiver participant health and welfare. And how? Per HRST rater completion in the Missouri Inelectability System of the person-centered thinking training requirements and completion of corresponding REDCap form. So Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool, HRST TCM Provider Rater, Fatal 5 for Case Manager Training. And this is optional HRST Value-Based Payment Initiative 2. And that is pending CMS SPA approval. And who does this involve? Current DMHDD contracted TCM service provider organization with designated Missouri HRST support coordinator rater staff. What? A one-time payment of $520 for each Missouri HRST support coordinator rater that completes the Fatal 5 for Case Managers training requirements per the Missouri Inelectability System during the identified time frame. Okay, when? Quarterly reporting beginning state fiscal year 2024 for TCM providers upon CMS SPA approval. Why? The training information will support the HRST rater with identification of implementation strategies to mitigate risk, improve health outcomes, and support individual waiver participant health and welfare. How? Per HRST rater completion in the Missouri Inelectability System of the Fatal 5 for Case Manager training requirements and completion of corresponding REDCap form. The Missouri Health Risk Screening Tool, or HRST Residential Service Provider Rater Advanced Fatal 5 Plus Training. This is also an optional HRST Value-Based Payment Initiative 2. Who does this involve? Current DMHDD contracted residential service provider organization with designated Missouri HRST residential rater staff. A one-time payment of $438 for each Missouri HRS residential rater that completes the advanced Fatal 5 Plus training requirements per the Missouri Inelectability System during the identified time frame. When? Quarterly reporting beginning state fiscal year 2024 for waiver residential service providers. Why? The information will support the HRS rater with identification of implementation strategies to mitigate risk, improve health outcomes, and support individual waiver participant health and welfare. How? Per HRS rater completion in the Missouri Inelectability System of the Advanced Fatal 5 training requirements and completion of corresponding REDCap form. Users with incomplete prerequisite training for the Missouri HRS process will still be required to complete their prerequisites before accessing the system. When a user logs in, the default landing page is the message center unless they have prerequisite trainings assigned. To access their training library, the user will click the yellow mortar board or graduation cap icon in the top right corner of the screen. This will then allow the user to see their assigned courses under My Assigned Courses. Users may have more than just the above two courses in their Assigned Courses section. To start a course, simply click the green Start button to the right of the course. There are three components to the person-centered thinking training: the eLearn module, and then scheduling and attending a one-day virtual person-centered training class, and then completion of the Missouri person-centered training module. Once a training is completed, it will show up in the completed courses section of the trainings tab for the end user. The reporting period in REDCap will count when all three of those courses, during that quarter, all three of those courses have been completed. So once that final third step is completed, that will be be considered the time that the provider would report in REDCap. All end users have access to training completion reports from the users page. To access, navigate to the users page. Filter for your agency using the employer filter in the list. If the agency gatekeeper is pulling the report, they will already only have access to their agency directly. It would not need to filter to the agency employer. Once filtered, select Reports, Standard Reports from the top menu option. In the Reports menu, select Training Completions, click Set Inputs, and then the user may select the course name from the dropdown. There is an option to change the date range. There is a default to the past year. Click Generate Report and a list will be generated of all users who completed the selected course in the specified date range. To request access, now I will turn it over to Sarah Eckert to explain the REDCap access.
Thanks, Leslie. So as a provider, when you have a HRS rater complete either the person-centered thinking or the advanced fatal 5, and you are seeking to apply for the value-based payment incentive, the VBP incentive, you must do so through the REDCap data system. If you do not have access to REDCap at this point, we ask that you fill out the access form found at the link here. And from there on the access form, we ask you to complete your information, your contact information, your provider number, whether that's an 85 or 15 once the spot is approved, and then which incentives you need access to. Specifically for HRS, you would request access for the HRS Rater Person-Centered Thinking training, as well as the HRS Rater Advanced Fatal 5 Plus training. Upon completion of this form, you will receive access to REDCap, which then you will go to in order to complete the form within REDCap to request that incentive payment. So go to the next slide, Leslie. Great. So once you have received access, you'll navigate to the URL that's at the top of this page to access Missouri's REDCap system. Once you log in, at the top of the page, you will click My Projects. It's found at the very top of the page on the left-hand side. It's shown here highlighted. Then once you click that, you'll be able to see all of the projects, or in this case, initiatives that you have access to within the system. And you'll go ahead and select the HRS Rater incentive that you would like to complete the REDCap form for. We'll go to the next slide. And then from there, a new page will open, and on the left-hand side, you will scroll down. There's a toolbar on the left-hand side. You'll scroll down to about halfway down the page where it says Data Collection, and underneath that, you'll select Add/Edit Records. So this is what you'll select in order to enter your rater's information to receive that incentive payment. So upon clicking that, the page will refresh, and then towards the middle of the page now, you'll see another section there that says kind of that choose an existing record and then add a new record. So you would go ahead and click that green button highlighted yellow here that says add new record. Next slide. From there, you need to select the appropriate radio button for the reporting period you are reporting for. In this case, as you'll see here, if you're reporting from Q1, you'll go ahead and select that July 1 to September 30th. You'll click that little circle that's highlighted yellow here, which will go ahead and open up a new page where you'll go ahead and complete your provider information, the reporting requirements, and the attestation. The screenshot we show here is a portion of that provider information. There we are looking for the provider name and 85 number, your name and contact information, including email, and then reporting information here. We request that for those raters that have completed the identified training for that time period, you'll go ahead and in that first question, enter the number of raters. So if you had one rater complete it, you'd enter 1. And then in the big text box below, we ask for the first and last name of that staff member who completed the training. That is the information we then verify against the inelectability information through those completed courses that Leslie was talking about prior to. So once you complete, you have to fill out the full form, including the provider information, reporting requirements, and attestation. So go to the next slide, Leslie. And then lastly, at the beginning, I apologize, at the end of the form, there are 2 critical questions that we use to identify if a record is complete and ready for review. First and foremost, you must select yes, the form is complete and ready for DMH review. And then secondly, under form status, you must change under that complete question, you must change it from incomplete to complete. Those are the indicators that we use to identify if a record is done and ready for us to begin review on it. Once you've identified it as complete and marked yes, click Save and Exit Form, and that will exit out of the form and take you back kind of to the landing page where if you need to add additional information or go back to a previous form, you are able to do so. And then at any time that you need to then navigate to, say, the other HRS incentive or a different incentive as part of the VBP program, up at the top, there'd be a top toolbar on top of every page. On the top left, it'll say My Projects, and that if you click that, that'll take you back to the list of incentives that you have access to within REDCap. And then next slide. And that is the end of this training on what the 2 new HRS Rater incentives are for state fiscal year 2024, on how to access them within inelectability, and then how to complete the necessary REDCap form to request payment for that incentive. If you have any questions regarding information shared here or on the VBP project as a whole, please submit an email to dmhdd.vbp@dmh.mo.gov, and we will get back to you with any response and be able to work with you through any difficulties you may face with using inelectability and/or REDCap. Thank you.